We don't need to talk about coaching today. We can
we
save that.
do.
We do.
We
We're
don't.
talking
That's
about
talking
something
about
that
coaching.
doesn't need to be discussed
Oh,
ever.
we are definitely. We're always talking about coaching, my man. Coaching is truly one of the elements of our time, especially for the Dallas Cowboys.
Click it.
Great minds think alike. What can I say?
Back to another episode of Clickbait Sports. Unfortunately, this week, the reigning NFL Fan of the Year will not be joining us. But other than that, we have the whole crew, including Brandon Perna, 5 Point Vids, and Urinating Tree. Joining me, Scooter Magruder. And let me tell you, we have practiced, we have rehearsed, we are ready to bring you guys elite coverage of this coaching carousel and of the NFL playoffs. We begin immediately with what you guys have all been wanting. The Dallas Cowboys apparently are imminently on the cusp about to hire Brian Schottenheimer. Immediate reaction from you guys, and then I'll follow up being that is how I'm feeling, but how are you guys feeling if the Dallas Cowboys were to make a move like this?
Well, this is just the result of dragging your feet, right? They said, "Hey, McCarthy's coming back," and then they let him go, and then all the good candidates outside of Ben Johnson, who clearly had his mind made up to go to the Bears before, basically the offseason started. This is the scraps that you get. You get Brian Schottenheimer. You get a retread, a guy that probably is not going to inspire many Cowboys fans. Now, he could be successful. He could be, but I don't know. In this case, I'd probably rather have Kellen Moore. Oh, what say you, Brandon Perna?
Was Brian calling plays for the Cowboys this?
No, that was McCarthy. McCarthy's been calling the last 2 years.
McCarthy was calling plays. McCarthy called plays last year though too, right?
Both years.
Yep, he called the last 2 years.
Yeah,
and his resume is terrible. Like Seattle, he got canned because he mangled the offense, and he hasn't done well anywhere else he's been. So, I mean, the name's the only reason why he's getting looks. God rest Marty Schottenheimer's soul.
Yeah, and probably convenience and probably a willingness to cultivate Jason Witten. Like, does Jerry really want Jason Witten to become a head coach?
I mean,
if Schottenheimer's hired and then like Jason Witten is named, I don't know, tight ends coach or offensive coordinator or whatever, then that will be the plan. But I don't know if this is. I saw somebody say underwhelming, and just from the outside looking in, it feels like an underwhelming hire. But there's always one of those every cycle, and then that guy turns out to be really good. So I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people hated on Stefanski. When he was hired, they're like, "Oh."
You guys have to say before I come in and interject. Have you gotten everything out?
I want to say one thing to Brandon's point is like so much is judged on a head coach based on his success in the first 3 years. And it's not really a sign of their competence. A lot of times it's just, did they win? Did they win and did they establish a winning record and they go to the playoffs? It's a very unfair system, but it's all too common. Now, Scooter, you may.
Would Pete Carroll excite you, Scooter?
Yeah, it looks like there's a rumor there.
No. They are going to be looking at Pete Carroll. He would be the oldest coach in the league right now if we got him. I'm not looking to hire someone in their 70s.
Well, compared to Jerry, Pete's spring chicken.
Yes. However,
give me that young Pete Carroll in here. He got some good
I'm not looking to hire anyone over.
He's got the energy of a 20 years younger.
But
how come?
Here's where I'm at. I think a lot of people are going to be underwhelmed, won't even watch next season if they hire Brian Schottenheimer. Just point blank. I've seen it. I've seen people say I'm not. There's people already saying it doesn't even matter. I'm not watching next season because of the incompetence in management. Honestly, I've seen several OG Cowboys people say I'm out. I can't do this anymore. I like the team. I don't like Jerry Jones. And the only reason I'm supporting and still going to games is because I have all these memories of when I was young and going to the stadium. I actually hate management, and they're making me hate this team, so I'm out next season no matter what. There's already a swath of people.
Just like all those people that say they're going to move to Canada when a new
hire Brian
leader is
Schottenheimer.
elected.
I think people will take you. I think they're serious about this. You hire Brian Schottenheimer, that is going to be the look collectively of Cowboys Nation because it's inspiring.
Can you document all those people when y'all are like 10-3 and they're at the game posting
Here's the flip
selfies?
side.
Like,
Here's what some people believe is happening in Cowboys Nation. Some people believe this is just an attempt to prop up Kellen Moore. So you look like you're about to hire Brian Schottenheimer, right? And everyone is saying, we don't want him. Boo. Then you go and you get Kellen Moore, who would have been just as underwhelming, but when presented with Kellen Moore versus Brian Schottenheimer, everyone will say, we'd rather have Kellen Moore at this point. So that's some people's belief. To your point, Brandon, about Jason Witten, yes, that would be the goal if we're hiring Schottenheimer. He's a bridge coach. He's a bridge to Witten. How amazing would it be in Jerry Jones' mind? How amazing would it be to have All-American Jason Witten, best tight end on the Cowboys ever, come back and be the leader of men that we need? So, and then there's a third option, which some people are leaving hope for, and that third option is prime time. And again, just extending the time.
I hope for all of them. Because all of them will be
extending
hilarious.
the time and getting us, no, we don't want Kellen. No, we don't want Brian Schottenheimer. I'm not going to watch next season. And then they bring in Dion, drop the hammer, and that's another theory that's out there. Do I know anything that's happening right now?
5 years ago?
Absolutely not. But I'm telling you right now, they hire Brian Schottenheimer. Jerry might actually, for the first time in his career, feel it monetarily. Meaning, like, I don't
He's going to still print money.
I'm telling you, just from what I've seen, right? That's what the fandom is saying.
Here's what's going to happen, though. It's not going to matter because a bunch of opposing fans are going to fill that stadium. It's like the LA or the Arizona or the Carolina phenomenon. Like, they're not going to be empty. Opposing fans are just going to fill it.
Are opposing teams going to be buying merchandise? Are opposing teams going to be propping up this great
and they have TV deals? Like, they're still going to make massive profit. It's you literally have to deliberately sabotage a team to not make profit. Dan Snyder, like, he did everything he could to be a terrible owner. He sabotaged everything, created apathy. He still made profit because that's just how the NFL works.
You know, there is another option too that we didn't discuss. We're just waiting for Brian Dable to get fired, and we're just going to bring him on over to our side. We go to let's move on from the Cowboys.
Hold on, I got one thing.
No, we gotta keep talking about
one last thing.
Well, we got some more things, yeah.
Kellen Moore and Brian Schottenheimer. Okay, let's just say those are two ideas that the Cowboys are entertaining. What has Kellen Moore done as an offensive coordinator that's like truly impressive that makes you think he could come in and elevate the Cowboys offense? Because the Cowboys offense was more productive when Mike McCarthy took over calling plays that following season, right?
Yes.
And Kellen Moore right now, obviously the Eagles offense having a ton of success, but that is 90% Saquon Barkley. That is, we call a run play, we're expecting 8 yards, and Saquon takes it 40 for a touchdown. And I'm not saying Kellen Moore is bad, that he doesn't deserve an opportunity to be a head coach.
I am saying that. I'm saying that.
Okay.
Because when you look at what he did, first of all, go back to when he was with the Cowboys. It was all on Dak. Right now for the Eagles, it appears like it's all on Saquon, and it's working out. When he was the play caller for the Cowboys, it was all on Dak, meaning we were throwing 40, 50 times sometimes. We were throwing the ball all the time when he was coordinator. We were not 50-50. So a lot of fans didn't like that, and you saw Dak turn the ball over a lot. He did not use the players and put them in positions to succeed. That's why a lot of fans dislike Kellen Moore. Were we more productive? Absolutely. But we were getting scored on more too. We could not control the time of possession because we were just passing long plays. Then he goes to the Chargers. The Chargers offense reverts under Kellen Moore. I remember at the beginning of the year, I said, good luck, Chargers fans. You're going to need it. And then they came at me saying, no, Kellen Moore's good. Your offense was so good. Look at what he's done. Look at what happened when Kellen Moore was with the Chargers. Their numbers dropped. They did not get better when he was offensive coordinator. And now you look at him at the Eagles with all these talented players, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. You want to know why A.J. Brown's reading inner excellence? Because he's getting targeted 3 times a game. Kellen Moore does not put his players in positions to succeed. And he's very fortunate that he's with the Eagles right now, who help disguise a lot of his inefficiencies, particularly Saquon Barkley. So to me, it's just like, and this is what matters the most when it comes to Jerry Jones, familiarity. That's all it is. He's familiar with Kellen Moore. He's familiar with Schottenheimer. He's familiar with Dion. He's familiar with Witten. There's a commonality among all of these. And the next head coach will be someone he's familiar with. Yes, Perna.
What about Steve Spagnuolo?
No.
I've got a question. I'm hearing some rumors about Ron Rivera.
Absolutely not. 0% chance. I believe that
he's a veteran coach.
I just personally believe the next head coach of the Cowboys will be an offensive-minded coach, not a defensive-minded coach.
Are there any coaches out there available that are older than Jerry? What if Jerry wants a father figure type to lead the team?
The only thing that we could do that would make
Parcells older than Jerry?
Not Parcells. Bring back Jimmy Johnson. That's the only thing.
Jimmy Johnson is the same age.
He's familiar. So
yeah, Parcells
that's what's going on. That is what's going on in Cowboy Nation.
Okay.
But the Cowboys aren't the only ones who were searching for a coach. There are some other teams that actually found their coach already and hired them. One of them being the Chicago Bears, getting Ben Johnson in what seemed like immediately after the Lions lost. He goes over to the Bears. What are your thoughts on this rapid reaction when you saw this this hiring for the Bears?
What is this article?
Sorry, I thought there was a different article here. I thought it was doing the Ben Johnson one. It's losing my mind.
Jerry Jones hires Honda HR-V.
I mean, that would be a better coach than Brian Schottenheimer.
Speaking of an ad, don't you have something for us, Trey?
Oh, dude, nothing like some ads. I love me some good ads. Honestly, I think in terms of Scooter, you should embrace the underdog. Behold the new year. A time for reflection and resolutions. But there's only one thing you should embrace here. The heart of the underdog. Also the partner of the stream, I might add. Welcome to Pick'em, where you can test your might in the art of foresight. Higher or lower, flexible stat lines, customize your entry to your heart's desire. Plus, they offer daily promos and specials throughout the NFL playoffs. It's an immaculate feat. Don't forget to say the magic word, Clickbait. Use it in the link below to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash in your first deposit plus a special pick in the lobby. You were expecting whispering. You were wrong. With Underdog, however, you won't be. But please, folks, always remember to play responsibly. I know everyone loves that stuff, right? This was the article I was looking to put on there about Ben Johnson waking a sleeping giant.
Ooh, nice.
You just never know
the chain for the Bears at all? Does this make a difference? Will Ben Johnson cause the Bears to win more games down the line?
I think so, just by him simply not being Matt Eberflus. Like Eberflus was clueless on the sidelines. If Ben Johnson learned anything by watching Dan Campbell, then he would at least be an NFL head coach. Like he would put in NFL level protocols. But again, you just never know with these guys. They might be talented in one certain area. Steve Spagnuolo is a great, maybe the first Hall of Fame coordinator to ever go into the Hall of Fame as strictly a coordinator. Terrible head coach. Terrible head coach.
I don't think you're allowed to go in as a coordinator, right? I think you're not.
I don't think they're technically allowed, but they might change the rules. Because
That's kind of weird.
Should be in. Yeah, only coaches, writers, or executives are allowed, and then
I didn't
players.
know that. You can't have a coordinator, an OC, or a DC. That's BS. I say.
Yep. Dick LeBeau made it as a player, so
BS.
Dick LeBeau's in as a player.
Yep, he made he led the league in interceptions in 1 year for Detroit.
Who else would be a Hall of Fame coordinator though?
Monty Kiffin.
Monty Kiffin.
Monty Kiffin. Oh my gosh, I remember his defense
Tampa
on Madden.
too. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's fascinating though because the Lions lose not only Ben Johnson, but they also lose Aaron Glenn as well. And I didn't know. Did you guys know about the rule where if you lose a minority coach and he becomes a head coach, you get 2 draft picks?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, they get third round compensation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Texans. San Francisco got it a couple times. They got it with Robert Saleh, Rand Carthon, who just got fired. Mike McDaniel, who is, I believe, an 8th black. They did get a 3rd round pick for him.
Hey, NFL, I'm half Asian. Please hire me and slut me around, and you guys will get draft picks. I'm saying.
Polish, which is pretty much like just dirt. So I mean, I'm pasty white.
You are white. You are whiter than the screen right now. Please.
Oh yeah, my man. I would have to trade a 3rd round pick just to be in the NFL.
Please accept those cookies. Please accept those cookies.
Yeah, accept those cookies.
Accept them.
Oh, he rejected.
I'm trying to lose weight. No optional cookies.
Who do we think had the better hire of these coordinators or coaches, rather? Do we think the Jets?
That's a good question. That's an
Jets had the
interesting
better
question.
hire?
If you look at results, right, like from the Lions, if we use the Lions as a gauge, like just objectively, the Bears got the better hire because the Detroit offense worked really well. The Detroit defense at times did not work all that well, but Aiden Hutchinson, their best player, was hurt for most of the year. So it's really tough to gauge when they had not as and Angeloni or he only came back like Anzalone. He only came back later. So to say, if you're just looking strictly at results, yeah, Ben Johnson had better results, but Aaron Glenn did a lot with less. So I will say this, it's the Bears and the Jets. They're both going to freaking suck. That's what's going to happen. It's the Bears and the Jets.
Who has a better season next year, Bears or the Jets? Chat, let us know.
Bears
or the Jets?
Bears. I think Adam's right. I think Ben Johnson can go in and make an immediate difference for the Chicago Bears because I think Caleb Williams is still a pretty good quarterback. He was just in a bad situation. And I think what Ben Johnson does well translates directly to what Chicago needs to fix. Even as their offense was a disaster this year, their defense looked respectable at times. So I like all that. And I just did a whole Ben Johnson video I uploaded today. So I've made my peace about that. But Aaron Glenn is, I think like your questions about Ben Johnson are like, who is he as a head coach? What kind of leader is he? Because we know he's the brainy offensive guru, right? I think everything, if you paid attention to Aaron Glenn, it's like the quintessential run through a wall for this dude. Like he's the kind of guy who I think players like playing for, coaches are going to like coaching for, and he can be your CEO type head coach and let his 2 coordinators do his thing or do their things. But I think he can be a very good head coach. But I trust And this is a crazy thing to say. I trust the Chicago Bears right now more than I trust the New York Jets as an organization to help give Ben Johnson what he needs to make that team successful. And I know it's a wild thing to say. I know.
I'm going to be quite frank here. We're missing a big issue here. Both the Bears and the Jets, for as bad as they are, they're a lot better than Jacksonville. Good God.
Yes.
They finally fired Trent Baalke when you botched 2 head coaching searches.
So, Tree, can you explain that to people who might not be on the AFC side of things? How is Jaguars Nation? Duval, take us through.
I'm going to say, Ooch, I'm so sorry you have to see this up there, my man. You would not be happy with your Jags right now. God rest his soul. But I did want to say real quick, I mean, everyone knew Trent Baalke was a terrible hire. He has pretty much done next to nothing. He's just a guy who he's like Grima Wormtongue when he was corrupting Theoden. And that's what Trent Baalke is. He just butters up the owner, thinks he's a great guy, and like Sean Khan doesn't know what he's doing. It's obvious he's just inept. You fire Doug Peterson, but you don't fire Trent Baalke, and a bunch of like everyone from the average fan to ownership to insiders to GMs to shit posters were saying, "Why are you keeping this guy? This guy's terrible. He's going to hold you back from hiring a coach." Lo and behold, 2 main head coaches they wanted were Ben Johnson and Liam Cohen. Ben Johnson goes to Chicago. He says, the situation in Jacksonville is untenable, i.e., I don't want to deal with Trent Baalke and his BS because he's going to throw me under a bus. Liam Cohen decides to re-sign long-term with Tampa Bay, so he's going to go back and, as offensive coordinator, gets a significant raise. Main reason? Trent Baalke. So it comes down to a situation where Trent Baalke just turns into a mess, and then you get this situation where you have to fire Trent Baalke. It's just it's embarrassing.
It's insane. They just actually came out and said that they're going to hire the coach before the GM. What type of bass-ackwards organization does that? Only the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think, honestly, Tree, I think that Shad Khan just found out that Trent Baalke was his GM. He's like, I keep seeing all this stuff on Twitter about this guy I should fire. Does he really work for us? And then he goes and he looks, is like, oh man, I should fire this guy. Like, and they did a press conference the other day. Like, I just don't see Shad Khan caring. And this is clearly, like, we make fun of the Jets, we make fun of the Bears for being incompetent, we make fun of the Browns for being incompetent. I think the Jags are right there in the top 3 in terms of incompetent organizations. Who's going to work for them and you don't even know who your boss is going to be? That's insane.
I don't know how he got another GM job after that San Francisco debacle.
Yeah, that never made sense.
My question to you guys is this. If the Jaguars still had Trent Baalke, which situation would be worse going into for a prospective coach? The Dallas Cowboys or the Jacksonville Jaguars?
No, the Jags.
Probably
If they still had Trent Baalke, yeah.
Yeah, because Trent Baalke's just going to run you out of town. At least with Jerry Boy, you can at least water in his ear about certain things, and he'll just say like, "Yeah, football," and then he now that goes off and does a series of landman.
Same question. Now that Trent Baalke's gone, now is Jacksonville a more wanted place than Cowboys head coach?
Here's the thing. Shad's very hands off with what he does. He's not really all that meddlesome because it's either he doesn't care or he doesn't know what he's doing. Like, he's more interested in his son's passion project in AEW. So I feel like more or less you are going to get carte blanche if you're in Jacksonville. Yeah. Question is, can you revive Trevor Lawrence? Can Brian Thomas Jr. keep it up? And you have a solid edge core in Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen. But you've got to build from there. ETN, do you want to keep him back because he's going to want to raise? Who knows?
Honestly, like, this hurts to admit, but working for Jerry Jones probably is a positive experience. He seems like a kind of guy that he's like a go-get-him type guy and gives you all that mental support. And he's just like, yeah, man, I trust you. And I mean, look what he did. He employed Jason Garrett for how long? And then Mike McCarthy for how long? Like, he seems like a guy that will have your back, but also just be like, yeah, I'm sorry, I had to fire you, and then pay for your kid's college or something like that. Like, he seems like it wouldn't be that unpleasant to work for Jerry Jones, even though I really hate the Cowboys.
He is very loyal. If there's one thing about Jerry Jones, it is his loyalty. Now, there are several other teams still looking for a head coach. Notably, Raiders still haven't found anyone.
Well, that's the only other one, right?
Yeah, it's
the
only
Raiders,
the
the Saints are up there too.
Saints. I keep forgetting about
wow.
those Saints.
Well, it's
Yeah,
too
it's
easy.
easy.
Raiders
My
and the
question
Saints,
is,
as
they
well
did hire
as
a GM.
if we're
guy
talking
named
about the unknown, here's one that was very
Vitek.
known from the beginning, and that's the Patriots hiring Mike Vrabel, who did not see this coming after they immediately got rid of Mayo as their coach.
It was either him or Ben Johnson. Quite frankly, they're bringing back Josh McSnake Oil as their offensive coordinator. Both, I mean, at this point, it's turning into the boys' club.
Did you guys see the meme on Josh McDaniels? It was like, oh my gosh, we successfully time traveled. And they asked someone next to them, hey, who's the offensive coordinator for the Patriots? And then the response is, we could be in any time period. Because Josh McDaniels somehow, some way, found his way back to the Patriots.
He's a good
You could be in
coordinator.
the Iron Age, and Josh McDaniels would still be the Patriots' O coordinator.
Yeah.
Let's be real here.
He
would have been the O coordinator during the American Revolution.
Yeah.
I thought the special teams.
I'm not sold. Josh McDaniels is a good coordinator. Tom and I talked about this. He was good with Tom Brady.
Fighting words with New England.
He was good with Tom Brady. Broncos offense wasn't good when he was here. Raiders offense sucked when he was there. Rams offense wasn't good when he was there.
And he ran. I mean, he walked out on the Colts.
Yeah, Colts
Failed on
offense
them.
didn't do anything when he was there.
Now, he does have, I think Drake May is a good quarterback, so he's going to get a good quarterback, and that usually can help an OC. But I don't even care about the Patriots. I think they made the right hire in Vrabel. I think they'll be better because of Vrabel. I thought that guy's name was Jerry Springer. That would have been cool, but who cares? It's Jeremy.
Jerry.
I mentioned, like, right now it says the Raiders are kind of leaning towards Pete Carroll as their front runner at this point.
Carroll?
Yeah.
I thought they would go for Dion or something.
I don't think Dion's leaving.
Raiders
I don't think
hire.
Dion's going to leave Colorado.
A $10 million buyout is tricky. I don't know who's going to be paying that.
Tom Brady has
Mark
the
Davis doesn't have that type of money. He's still paying
Mark
for
Davis
what's
don't
his
have that
name?
money. He's still paying for the Bank of America loan.
Josh McDaniels.
Here's my question. Do you guys think Mike McCarthy lands on one of these remaining teams? He was looking at the Bears before the Bears went with Ben Johnson. Do we think I've heard him linked to the Saints? Do we think McCarthy gets a job somewhere? Do we think Robert Saleh gets a job somewhere?
Apparently, Robert Saleh was like the plan C for the Jags, so they could probably zone in on him. I like Saleh as a coach. I think he got a bad shake with the Jets. You really saw how that defense imploded the moment like he left New York, especially as Ulbrich had to do double duty. So it's either he becomes head coach again or he goes back to San Francisco to be the defensive coordinator.
Yeah. I think with Saleh, you clearly you got to nail your offensive coordinator hire with Robert Saleh.
Yep.
But I think the Jags would be lucky probably to get Saleh at this point, and I think he's probably one of the few left who would actually consider Jacksonville. Maybe Mike McCarthy would. Mike McCarthy might be a better
job.
Mike McCarthy might be a better vibe fit for Trevor Lawrence, though. I don't know.
That would be the move. They hire Mike McCarthy as GM head coach combo. He's like, I want total control. And
I don't think Mike wants all that control.
For Dark Horse? Oh, God.
I think Mike wants to do
no head coach
least amount as possible.
Yeah, I know. Sounds dumb, but,
Since we've talked about all the remaining jobs, my last question before we pivot to talk about these playoff games is, what is the most desirable head coaching position right now available? Right now.
I think it's Cowboys.
Yeah.
So
they have a quarterback. They got a quarterback.
Jerry Jones.
Yeah, despite Jerry, you got a quarterback. The Raiders would be, I think, enticing if they had their guy. Now, maybe who they convinced to be their head coach, they revealed their spy plan to get their quarterback. Maybe that's Sam Darnold for a couple years until they, figure out who they can draft or
Maybe
whatever.
Kyler
But
Murray. Who knows?
and but Trevor Lawrence, he's appealing as well. And I think Shad Khan, like, he's not a good owner, but he's not an asshole. He spends money. He's invested it back into the team. So it's like he's like a guy who tries to do some of the right things, but always just gets one of the important things wrong. So I don't think that's a bad situation to go be a head coach, because you have Trevor Lawrence and you've got a nice piece in Brian Thomas for Trevor Lawrence to, I don't know. It's but it's hard to say the Jags are more appealing than the Cowboys for whatever reason.
Our brand is strong. We do have a strong brand.
It is a strong brand.
It's a very strong
brand. Whether you
brand.
like it or not.
And
whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not as well, the Eagles and Commanders are now in the NFC Championship game to go alongside the Chiefs and the Bills. But before we get into forecasting or predicting rather those games, let's go back and let's talk about how they got here. The Bills beat the Ravens. Let's start there. What did you guys think of that game? Where did it go wrong for the Ravens? Mark Andrews, if he just catches it, if he just doesn't fumble, take me through
the
your
Ravens
emotions.
still lose. Josh Allen gets the ball back. 33. And we're talking about Tyler Bass kicking a clutch field goal.
No, he's probably kicking it wide right. They'll probably win.
He was perfect that day. He was going to continue to be perfect. It's the Bills' year, Scooter.
I hope so.
Well, it's not the Bills' year. It's the Ravens.
Josh Allen's going to be Super Bowl MVP. Oh, my God. They're going to be talking about how good Josh Allen was in the biggest game of the year.
Listen, I'm all for the Bills winning the Super Bowl this year. In fact, it's the best outcome for a Cowboys fan. If the Bills win the Super Bowl, that is the best outcome we can hope for. So naturally, their players want to get on social media and say, we're America's team. Did y'all see this nonsense?
Mm-hmm.
One of their players got on and said, no, the Bills are actually America's team.
I concur.
The team that lost 4 times.
It would have been the Lions, but the Lions got bounced.
No, the Chiefs are going to end up winning because there is no God.
I think the Lions are America's team. They were the most watched football team this year, weren't they?
No, it was the Cowboys.
No, I think the Lions were the most watched football team in 2024.
It's always the Cowboys.
Can we have a Google search of this?
Google it. It's always the Cowboys.
I can do it.
While you're Googling that,
I'm pretty sure it's
where
the
did
Lions.
it go wrong?
You are correct. Sir.
The Bills.
Detroit Lions, most watched NFL.
Yeah, the Bills played a really clean game, no turnovers, and the Ravens had the one turnover by Mark Andrews. You were like, dang, that was also on a crucial conversion too. I think it was 3rd down and long when Mark Andrews dropped that ball, and so. Yeah. Those were backbreakers. And I thought that the response to Mark Andrews by the fans and people yelling at him was very uncalled for. Like, he did not want to drop that ball and he did not want to put it on the carpet like that. It was, it's one thing to do something really dumb. Like, remember when Kadarius Toney lined up offsides? Like, that's an error of omission where he wasn't thinking. Dropping a ball is an error of commission. You're in the act of doing something and your body just lets you down. But, something that you can prevent, that's where people should be yelled at. But Mark Andrews, and I shout out to Bills Mafia for raising money for his charity after. That was clutch.
If you're going to make a terrible mistake as a player, you want to do it in the playoffs against the Bills, because that fan base is going to come to turn it into a positive thing for you. And I just want to be clear. If I were an NFL player, and if I were a very good NFL player, I 100% would be most known for dropping a pass in a clutch situation. And then the next year, doing the exact same fucking thing. And the following year, by the time I retired, they would say his career was so good. And then he became the least clutch player ever because nerves would definitely get the best of me. Definitely.
Tree would be the player that sits the bench all year and then makes the most clutch play in the most clutch moment. Like he would just happen to be like
he would be the guy who sits on the bench the whole year and then comes in and also makes the mistake.
I mean, that would be me. I agree with that. I mean, I just or they just tell me to get the hell out, and then I just be like, I'm not on the bench anymore, Mom. I made it. And then I get raised up on the shoulders and I get chucked into a river.
Here's my thing. I'm watching the Ravens game, okay? And this is my problem with the Ravens, specifically Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP, maybe 3-time MVP, okay? But Dak is held to a higher standard than a 2-time
Then
winning.
Lamar?
Oh, dude,
I
Lamar
don't
gets
think so,
shredded.
dude.
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Like,
I think
dude,
Lamar went through the
first
ringer
half
this week,
playoff,
too.
Lamar was going wild.
No, hold on. Let me finish my point. And here's why.
I get what you're saying.
Here's why. Because at the end of that game, the blame was on Mark Andrews, 100%. It was Mark Andrews' fault. He dropped it. He fumbled earlier, but from Lamar's own mouth, he took responsibility. He said, "No, it's not even really on Mark Andrews. You know, I fumbled earlier. He was the reason why they scored a touchdown off of his fumble. Had that been Rain Dakota Prescott, the media would be out here crucifying Dak, calling him the most garbage, unclutched.
Legit.
But all of a sudden, now it's on Mark Andrews? When Lamar is saying it's not even on him. So go ahead. Fine.
Yeah, well, Lamar is being a good teammate for one. He's being a leader.
Yeah.
But you know who it's really on is John Harbaugh for having Derrick Henry and twice having 2 opportunities to pick up 4 points and not giving the ball to Derrick Henry in some capacity. What are you doing? What are we doing? You telling me you go out and sign Derrick Henry, the best running back in the NFL, arguably, and the best short yardage running back in the NFL, a guy that can bowl entire teams over, and you don't give him the ball. You don't. One of the times, they didn't even have him out there, right? The first conversion, he was not even out there. How do you not even use him as a decoy?
Yeah.
Like, come on. That was idiotic, and I thought that was unacceptable.
I did see some memes.
Harbaugh should be getting some flack for that.
I saw some memes of Lamar Jackson photoshopped onto Joel Embiid's body, right? In a Ravens uniform. So it's not like people aren't coming down on Lamar. I'm just saying, for whatever reason, still, Dak is injured, hasn't played this season. All I'm seeing online is Jaden Daniels now has more playoff wins than Dak Prescott.
It's true. It's true, though.
How is this man injured and yet still being talked about? It's just crazy to me. And Lamar's 3-5 in the playoffs. Dak's 2-5 in the playoffs. But Dak is not a 2-time MVP. I feel like the standard is crazy because Dak is still up here just because he's on the Cowboys. And Lamar's it doesn't matter. He's a 2-time MVP. It doesn't matter. He's never won anything. We can say the same thing for Josh Allen, too. If Josh Allen loses to the Chiefs, it will not be the same vitriol that Dak gets for whatever reason. It'll be, oh, man, the Chiefs, AFC's harder. But they've done the exact same thing. They haven't won a Super Bowl. So, and the last point that I want to make is now with the Commanders reaching the NFC East Conference Championship, that makes the Cowboys the last team to reach a conference championship game. We are the last team in the NFC to reach the NFC Championship game. But my response to all the people DMing me this and memeing and sending is like, who cares? The Lions have not won a Super Bowl ever. Ever. Who cares if they reach an NFC Championship game? They have 0 Super Bowls. Why aren't we talking about that? Who cares if the 49ers make a Super Bowl if they lose? You remember the last time the 49ers won a Super Bowl? No one's talking about that. It was after
they've lost 3 in a row. It
was after the Cowboys. So it's like people strategically make points just to harp on the Cowboys, which is fine. We get it. We're the number 1. We're the brand. Okay. But it's like, just keep that same energy when it's other people, when it's Lamar Jackson.
But that's
When
Here's
just
the thing,
Cowboy fan
everyone
thing to
is
say.
going with Lamar Jackson.
Is
Justin
even when
Herbert, they were shredding him like after that wild card game.
yeah.
they were shredding
Lamar
Justin,
went through it.
but still, it's like it's not the same vitriol Dak is getting.
Okay, but let's look at it from this way.
Talk to me.
I heard a lot of Lamar criticism. Fair Lamar criticism. But what Lamar did in that game was he played very well in the second half. The reason they had a chance late in that game was because Lamar. And within all the Lamar criticism, I didn't hear a single person mention Dak Prescott. Didn't bring it up.
We're in different circles.
Only a Cowboys fan.
That's all.
Looking at Lamar
only-
Jackson, not getting about
You're the only
criticism
person
going,
bringing
"You're
up
not
Dak
talking
Prescott
about
here, buddy."
Dak in the right
On
way.
different timelines. We're on different timelines.
It sounds
What
like
about Dak?
it's like we're talking about everyone else. It's like, pay attention to me, my Cowboys. That's what it turns into, man.
It's not.
Yeah,
because
you
I'm
would not
getting tagged.
believe
I'm getting
in my
tagged.
circles.
Well, you are.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm saying
Scooter.
your
AFC
rules are a
teams.
little different too, right?
Don't
All of us have a
understand.
different
Yeah,
funnel. of,
AFC teams probably
I
do not
mean-
see the same stuff me and 5 see as NFC fans.
sure.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe the amount of flack that Drew Lock was taking for Lamar's shortcomings. Everyone was dunking on Drew Lock. They're like, Drew Lock, he wouldn't even, Mhm.
But see, and this is okay. I think it's we do it every year. Every year we over praise quarterbacks for their success and we crucify them for their failures. And when you get into the playoffs, it is so much who has the better team, right? Like who has the best team is going to win every week. And I think like there's this stat floating around out there about Josh Allen where statistically in his regular season games against the Chiefs where he's 4-1, statistically he has been worse. In the playoffs, statistically he's better and he's never beat Kansas City, right? You go back to the playoff game with the Bills last year, there was the Diggs drop, there was a couple other drops in that game. It is you have to execute on every single level to beat the best teams. And when you've got a team like the Chiefs, they don't make as many mistakes as you. And when they do make mistakes, they make up for those mistakes. Like their defense bails them out. If it's an offensive turnover, it's Harrison Butker is never going to miss your field goal in the postseason. And so, yeah, it's unfair that Lamar has to carry that burden. It's unfair that Dak has to deal with that shit. But come playoff time, nobody cares anymore. And the easiest person to call out and judge is the quarterback, unless tight end drops a pass on a play that everybody's watching to see tie a game. Then there's another easy guy to blame. So it does suck, but like we've got to dumb it down to a couple talking points, and that's where it goes.
Talking
The
about
other thing, go
talking
ahead.
points, let's switch to the Commanders-Lions game, which was a shocker in many regards, especially to me, who I had the Lions winning by 4 touchdowns. I did not believe in the Commanders whatsoever. It was shocking to me, but I want to hear from you guys. Do you think this was such a great Commanders team, or was it more so the Lions were injured and this wasn't really the Lions that got to the playoffs?
Well, the Commanders really overwhelmed them with the triple option. Their end-to-end speed was something that the Lions just weren't ready for. They were like, oh crap, we have not seen this yet. And that was their weakness. Like if anybody ever played Madden, like you would just beat up on teams that run a 4-3, and then some guy runs some weird like 5-2 scheme that you've never seen, and you just get bodied because you're like, I don't know how to adjust to this. That's the way it felt with Detroit. They were like, golly. And that game got out of hand quickly, and Goff was bad. They did some cute plays that worked, but that Jameson Williams throwing that ball when they tried to do, like, he just made up his mind. Like, I was told that I need to throw this ball and I'm going to throw it. And that was the worst possible, because they were still kind of in it at that point. But I was shocked. I said that the Commanders would be scrappy and that they would stay in, but ultimately lose. because I thought that the Lions were the team of destiny this year, and I was very wrong. And you see now, with sports,
There's no destiny.
Yeah, there's no such thing as destiny. That your
Not
heart
in
can
the
be
NFL.
broken at any time.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you're a Detroit Lions fan, I'm sorry, that was a
think
tough
we will
one to
see
witness.
a Lions Super Bowl win in our lifetime? Yes or no?
This was the year. Maybe next year. Maybe next year is the year because Hutchinson will play a full season. They might not be so snake bitten. They still have a great offense, and they will have a better defense. I don't know if I could say that they have a great defense, but they will have a better defense next year.
I don't know.
Even with the 2
49ers
new
might be
coordinators.
healthy next year too. This was the year for the Cowboys too.
Well, that's the thing with the Lions defense. This year, they were injured. We all know that. Everybody thought Aaron Glenn did a good job coaching up an injured defense, and he did. But the couple years before that, their defense, even with Aaron Glenn, was kind of underwhelming. You know what I mean? And maybe there's reasons that can explain that all away. Their success has been their insane offense. And the fact that the Commanders were the one team to come in and just be like, okay, we can outscore you. Goff made a couple mistakes, and we're going to make you guys pay for it. I think that was the most impressive thing because we've seen the Lions win those shootouts, and now you're just like, damn, Jaden Daniels are really good. The Commanders are the scrappy team. Their defense is, average, and they're going to go play the Eagles. So for you two, which team do you want to see advance to the Super Bowl? The Commanders or the Eagles?
Bro, be for real. What are we talking about here? This is the easiest question. It's the Commanders. Nobody wants the Eagles to do anything. Here's why. And I said this before. It's so simple. Eagles fans have won 1 Super Bowl. 1. After 0. 1. And they talk so much trash, an exorbitant amount of trash. Nothing that you're used to, Tree. This is like elite levels of trash.
It's just Philadelphia. That's that city.
Where
I have to deal with it as a state of Pennsylvania.
I told my cameraman who films my NFC East meetings, I was like, yeah, they only have 1 Super Bowl win. He was shocked because the way they act is if they got 12 of these walking around. Right?
Dude, I have a friend on Facebook. Every day during that offseason, he would just post that the Eagles were the Super Bowl champions. I'm like,
they're burying you in the chat, man.
Can you imagine if they're like this with 1? Imagine if they get 2. Absolutely not. I want the Commanders to beat them down so I can laugh. And then I want the Commanders to get beaten down so I can laugh even more. But absolutely not. Eagles, no. I'm sorry. And it's not all Eagles. I'm not saying it's all Eagles fans, but it's that 10% minority that's louder than the 90% majority for whatever reason. We cannot have the Eagles win anything.
I will say this. It makes it easier for me to root for the Commanders, even though I grew up in Northern Virginia and all the people I hated were also Redskins fans. I can say that. Hopefully we don't get demonetized. You have to contact support because I said the R word. But like if Dan Snyder was still the owner of the Commanders, then I would have major issue. Like to see his smug face enjoying this run would be terrible. But like I don't know much about Josh Harris. I just know that he's not Dan Snyder. So, and the other thing about the Commanders, and this is hard to admit as a Giants fan, they're a fun team to watch. Honestly, Terry McLaurin is very talented, and Dan Quinn, him. I hope Dan Quinn gets an opportunity at redemption. Maybe, or it'd be really funny if they blew a huge lead of some kind. But the Commanders team is better to watch than the Eagles, and also Saquon going to the Super Bowl while the Giants sit at home, knowing that it's like watching your ex-girlfriend get super hot, like have a total glow up, and then like marrying a billionaire.
The Pirates beat the Phillies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
So that's my thoughts on that. I'd rather see the Commanders advance and then lose to the Bills in revenge for what Super Bowl did the Bills beat did the Skins beat the
91 or 92, I think.
Yeah, something. Mark Rippon.
Yep,
That's all I remember. That's like the most unmemorable Super Bowl. Like the burgundy and gold just came out and beat the Bills down and then punched it. Like it was. Remember when the NFC East? What is the Giants, the Skins, and then the Cowboys back to back? That was ridiculous. That was a weird time.
What else was ridiculous was the Rams playing the Eagles in a great game. Like the game was amazing. It was back and forth. You did not know what was happening. It came down to the wire. And for whatever reason, the Eagles prevailed. What were your thoughts on seeing that game? Because it could have gone either way, honestly.
I think the thing with the Eagles, it's like they all nearly blew it again. But the problem is they were more opportunistic. The Rams had a couple fumbling issues, and they couldn't stop the run. And at the end of the day, the Rams had a really solid season considering they started 1-4. They were injured to hell, let's be honest here. But they have a lot of questions to ask. What's going to happen with Matthew Stafford? He might retire. And at that rate, you wonder if Sam Darnold's going to go back there, if Kevin O'Connell puts in a good word.
I think it's fascinating, too, because remember the Rams, this is a team that went all in to win the Super Bowl. A couple years ago.
Yeah. But they're a young team now. They're very young.
Jerry Jones was saying, oh, well, just look at the Rams. You'll see in a couple years the Rams are going to be in a bad place. Well, that bad place was in the playoffs over our team.
That's all they're going to say. Ring.
So, to me, there is no excuse. If you are a GM, an owner looking to win now, pull the trigger. We've seen what it could potentially be with the Rams winning a Super Bowl. So to me, that is the formula. You go all in, actually, and look at the success a team like the Rams had. And guess what? They're right back in a couple years in the playoffs, competing, almost back in the NFC Championship game. Brandon, did you see anything from that Rams-Eagles game?
What's so funny,
Yeah,
Brandon?
but hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. This is better. Here's Terry and Arnold posted this walking down the stairs this morning.
Oh.
He said, I almost killed myself this morning. Well, I respect him posting that. Him posting that.
Yeah.
Just looking
at
at
a little ring doorbell.
Missing a stare. That's the most relatable shit ever.
Oh, yeah.
I like how he instinctually grabs the rail, though. Like, that was strong. Like, he was like, oh, I need a little assist here. Oh, okay.
That's great.
First time he didn't actually hold, huh, guys? Lions fans will appreciate that one. All right, what'd you say?
Anything from the Rams-Eagles game that you took away? Any takeaways?
I
from
think
that?
Nick Sirianni is going to, at some point, cost the Eagles. At some point,
I think Jake Elliott is my favorite Eagles player at this point. This man is trying to will the Eagles to an L, but unsuccessful.
Yeah, he missed a couple extra points. Yeah.
What I like is how Scooter asked me a question and both of you guys answered for me.
You took way too long. And as a consequence, we are now moving on.
No, hold on. I got thoughts. I got thoughts on Rams Eagles.
Okay, tell me, Rams Eagles.
Oh,
One, Matthew Stafford still got it. All right. Stafford still got it.
He does.
Jake Elliott, you're right. But Jake Elliott made 3 field goals. He missed the extra points, but he made the field goals. And in those conditions, he did the harder thing, which, I don't know, just put him in harder situations. Maybe that's what the Eagles need to do. Saquon Barkley is the most important non-quarterback on the field right now. He's insane. The fact that he could run that fast on ice is insane. Jalen Hurts had a big play too before he hurt his knee. And I think Jalen Hurts playing through that injury, although almost kind of cost him, it's admirable. And I really had a lot of respect for Jalen Hurts' performance in that game. And we'll see what happens. Like, we didn't think the Commanders had a chance against the Lions. It feels like the Eagles are a mismatch for him as well. But I don't know. It should be a good game.
It should. And this was a good game, surprisingly. Texans versus Chiefs. What were you guys thinking when you were watching this? Did you think, oh my gosh, the Texans could actually do this? They could actually pull off this upset.
They were
That
the
was
only team to
never-
lose this week who also had 0 turnovers. So good job, Houston.
And not just
The
that.
thing is,
go ahead.
Tree,
go ahead.
hold on,
No.
Tree. Would you say that the Texans were sort of a underdog in this?
Were they an underdog? I mean, I got to be honest. I got to check with the refs on this one.
Behold the new year, a time for reflection and resolutions. But there's only one thing you should embrace here: the heart of the underdog. Also the partner of the stream, I might add. Welcome to Pick'em, where you can test your might in the art of foresight. Higher or lower, flexible stat lines, customize your entry to your heart's desire. Plus, they offer daily promos and specials throughout the NFL playoffs. It's an immaculate feat. Don't forget to say the magic word: clickbait. Use it in the link below to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash in your first deposit, plus a special pick in the lobby. You were expecting whispering. You were wrong. With Underdog, however, you won't be. But please, folks, always remember to play responsibly.
Beep, beep, beep,
that-
beep, beep. We got breaking news. Beep, 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 boom.
Please be.
That
Hey,
was
look at
some
this.
Oh,
funky-
Liam Cohen.
Look at this. Hey, Liam's considering.
Oh,
He's going to maybe get a second
unless-
interview here.
He
All
said,
right.
Wow.
what did he
All
say?
He's pulling in McDaniels.
After
Yeah,
Baki was
wow.
fired, he reconsidered. Oh,
Wow.
man. Nice.
Talk about
Okay.
now Trent Baalke knows that
Yeah.
Liam Cohen doesn't like him. Mhm.
Yeah. How's
Like-
poor Trent Baalke? I might have
He's
screwed
like,
up,
oh,
but I always liked Liam. I
Liam
always
called
liked
back.
Liam.
Liam called back and he said, I have a particular set of skills. And then I was like, all right, we'll do a second interview.
All right.
mhm.
Good for Jacksonville.
With that being said, though, any shock with the Texans Chiefs game? Did you guys think the Texans actually had it in the bag? Did their special
No.
teams betray them?
Yes. Their special teams cost them that game.
Yeah, and their offensive line. Not just that.
Oh.
I mean, they gave up 8 sacks.
You're saying you're not a believer in the conspiracy theory that the refs granted this game to the
No.
Chiefs to ensure.
Oh, I also believe that.
Okay.
Well, the thing too, it's that roughing the passer call. That they're going to call that every time. I don't like the call. I hate the call. But here's the thing: when they see helmet to helmet, there's 0 tolerance. It's like
It was helmet to
NFL's
helmet
like-
on the same. Like,
yeah, but here's
they
the
were-
thing: they're going to see it as like a flag. It's bang bang. They're going to call that every time. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
Well, I don't know if they'll do it every time. I think they're
Call it most
supposed
of
to
the
call it. What I
Yes,
don't like
exactly.
about them calling that is Will Anderson's like letting up before he gets there, right? He could have hit Mahomes a lot harder. He could have leveled Mahomes, which he should have done since he was going to get flagged for it.
Yeah, he was
And I
gonna
think-
get the flag anyway.
And I think it's hard for the ref on the field to make that call. But there's somebody's got to be like, look, he tried to protect the quarterback there, and we can't penalize him because his face mask ran into Mahomes' face mask. That's what's annoying about the rule.
I don't even think that.
But it didn't. That wasn't the only thing that, I think
I don't.
the Chiefs
sorry.
win that game without that penalty.
I
I
don't
have to.
think
I have to admit
that's
that
what's
shit.
annoying most fans, though. I think what's annoying most fans about the Chiefs specifically is that Lamar Jackson got hip tackled out of bounds, like 10
They haven't
yards
been
out of
calling that.
bounds.
They haven't been calling that
No.
all year.
Oh, this was not like a bang bang play. He got hip tackled, which is illegal, a 15-yard
Who did?
Lamar
the
Jackson.
hip drop.
He
That
got
was
hip-
on. That was on. Oh, I don't remember that one.
No,
In
the
the Texans game,
guy
Dalton
got
Schultz got hip dropped.
Yeah, Dalton
This-
Schultz got hippie dropped.
This was more egregious than that because he's 10 yards out of bounds. So he's out of bounds. Should have been a penalty right there. Plus, he gets hip drop tackled, no penalty. So it's just, I think, the consistency. The same way people were mad at Brady for getting some of these calls in his career. I think that's starting to just transfer over to Mahomes. And he's starting to get these calls that other quarterbacks don't really get.
Well, Brady got arguably the softest call in NFL history in that championship game against the Chiefs. And I defended the Chiefs then. I
Yeah,
said,
that was the one where
call.
he just
He got touched
him.
on the shoulder pad, and he got
Mhm.
a roughing.
All right, we are running out of time. So
Get
let's
that
just
Jordan
get-
I just
Oh,
I
go
only
ahead.
want to say one thing is that nowadays, like you see this, and this happened with the Patriots. The teams that are winning, that have played more and more postseason games, they learn what it takes to get those calls, and they learn the behavior that they pick up on the refs' behavior and what they're looking for. And just Mahomes has figured it out. He's been in so many playoff games now. He knows he's going to get that call. And so they just exploit that, and more power to them. You know, if my team has been that many consistent runs and they've picked up on all that stuff, then excuse me, that's just learned behavior, and they're good at it now. And so everyone's starting to hate them, just like they hated the Patriots. But that's what winning teams do, because they're always there.
With that being said, who will be in the Super Bowl this year? Make your picks right now. I will start. Bills commies. Let's go. Come on. Bills commies.
It's going to be Eagles Chiefs because God hates us all. That's the reality. We know how this is going to be. I'm not even being cynical. I think the Chiefs play a very Patriot style of game, and the Eagles have a really strong rushing attack. Nobody can stop.
Yeah.
I
think it'll be. Oh, go ahead.
You go, Adam. You go, Adam.
Oh, I think it'll be Chiefs Eagles, because that's
Oh
our
my
life, and
God.
that's the worst possible thing. My heart wants Commanders Bills, but it will be likely Chiefs Eagles.
It could
Yeah.
be Chiefs Commanders too. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be Bills, Eagles. That is our Super Bowl. Mark it, book it, clinch it. The Bills are smart. They're not going to make the mistakes against Kansas City. They didn't have any turnovers. They didn't do the stupid stuff. Von Miller almost housed one. I got to believe the Bills can beat the Chiefs. And I want the Commanders. I want Bills Commanders too. But I don't think I'm gonna get any of us will ever get the feel good Super Bowl we want. So Eagles, Bills.
Yeah.
And
They'll
Eagles
say it's too scripted.
are, I think, just they're such a tough matchup for anybody. And it's that they're Line and Saquon. And I'm happy that one team is left. And the reason they're left is because the running back is so insane.
Mm-hmm.
Save the running back.
it's crazy because they looked at all the running backs available or remaining. Saquon's paid $12 million,
Yeah.
which is more than all of the other three, I think, combined times 2. So it's actually doing the inverse, and it's really like running backs really don't matter when you look at the teams who are remaining in the Final Four. So it's interesting.
Tom's
taking
not
over.
here, so
Brandon.
we gotta do this part ourselves. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 4. Tom Grossi left and went out his door. He was hungry, said I wanted more. And I think he's at lunch or dinner. I don't know where Tom went. He ghosted us and said we all suck. And we said, okay, that's fair, Tom.
He went to do real things now. He's joined the NFL Network.
Got $64.
I got $12. Thank
Oh,
you.
geez.
Thank you,
Brandon, what-
Yankees fan and John Ray.
Ooh. Okay, I got 86.90.
174.
Oh,
174.
Come on, I've been
All right,
punished
he's
enough. No more
Now
punishment.
punished a lot.
It's all free to do.
Let's think about this.
Hmm.
Chat,
Hmm.
help us out too. What should be a punishment? How much money was it, Tree?
It was 174, I think. 174.
$174. What's a reasonable punishment for making 100?
But look, Trey, I act honest in general. I don't lie. That just act like me.
You gotta use my code at Underdog, and then you gotta
No.
take the higher on Russell Wilson every week next year.
I mean,
You gotta
is he
take
even
the
gonna?
higher on Russell.
I'm going to be honest.
What's
I think he does come back.
$174 punishment for Tree?
Like what?
Wear a taco costume. I have a Chipotle costume. I've already done that. Thanks for rooting for my Bills.
Yeah. Dang.
US is Dean Spanos for the draft, so it just like glasses and balding head. Mahomes jersey while riding the Yinzermobile. Live stream every.
Well, we're streaming the championship game. We can punish him for the championship Sunday if you guys wish.
Yeah, I know, but there's like no teams he hates left.
The Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles.
Maybe you have to root for the Eagles to win the game. Like change your header to Eagles and your profile picture on Twitter to an Eagles profile picture.
No, what it has to be is Nick Sirianni fan club page.
Yes, you have to change your Twitter to, if the Eagles win, you have to change your Twitter to Nick Sirianni fan club.
No matter what. For this upcoming game.
Yep.
Okay.
I like it.
Here we go.
Sirianni fan club.
And next clickbait, Tree has to give us our 10 commandments of Tomlin. The 10 reasons Mike Tomlin should be given eternal head coaching status of the Steelers. 10 reasons Mike Tomlin should never, ever, ever be fired.
I like it.
He's never going to get fired anyway.
Yeah, well, I want you to be his biggest supporter.
What do you guys have coming out on your channels?
So right after this, tonight, I have the saddest NFL rebuilds of all time. The most saddest.
We might be joining that.
We mentioned some very sad rebuilds today, by the way. The Jaguars are definitely included.
Was the Dave Campbell years in there at all?
Oh, no, these are recent. So, no, I didn't go back. Like, just the saddest NFL rebuilds.
Tree, Perna, anything coming out?
I dropped a Ben Johnson episode today. Can Ben Johnson realistically save the Bears?
The Bears.
I am working on a video on the Dodgers free agency spending spree. And how it's not really their fault for spending. It's on the rest of baseball.
Man, I was going to do that same video, but I was waiting for closer to the Dodgers spending is going to break baseball. Like they're going to have to change rules because of them.
Yeah, but they're going to cause a lockout. That's the reality of it. And the problem is there are 3 teams in baseball that haven't offered a major league contract yet this offseason.
In free agency. Yeah.
Yes. And there are a bunch of teams that are blowing it up, rebuilding. Like the Athletics are finally spending money. It's like they're the problem. The Dodgers are just a symptom of a greater disease.
Before we move on to what I'm putting out, Bailey has suggested an alternative punishment that kind of
Kenny Pickett Eagles jersey.
Pickett Eagles jersey.
Ooh, that sounds like pain.
That does sound like pain.
We'll leave it to dealer's choice. So whatever out of those punishments offered, whatever you feel most likely you want to do. With that being said, I just posted the first Magrooters episode ever. YouTube.com/TheMagruder. Go check it out. We'll be posting another one on Sunday, and I will be streaming the Eagles losing to the Commies this weekend. Turn your notifications on. It's going to be a glorious time for
Saquon Penn State jersey.
Feeling 2025 can get off to a great start. Tune in.
Is everybody streaming Championship Sunday? Tree and I are streaming both games
on the dumpster fire.
Just doing the Eagles.
And I believe on Maine.
I'll be on the Bills. The Bills.
Stop. The Bills Chiefs. And you're hating on the Chiefs.
Go Buffalo.
I just love Championship Sunday is the best game. It's better than the Super Bowl if you ask me, because it's just the moment they hit hard
to be hurt.
Yeah, and the guys, they just play harder because it's getting to the Super Bowl is so important to them. It's once you're there, it's like, all right, I played in a Super Bowl, but getting there, it's big. No one remembers third place
or second.